Are we on? We're on? I don't want to be on. Hello and welcome to Android Weekly. This is RICKY, the Android guy. There's been a lot of news this past week. First thing we're going to start off with is just some of the older news and going into the newer news. So first thing since I last made my weekly news, there was official that Samsung sold 20 million Galaxy S4s in 2 months. Now this is the most phones sold in that short amount of time that we can know of. The reason why I always say that is because the iPhone 5, with the exception of the first week, we never know how many iPhone 5s are sold. Apple only releases all of how their iPhones sell, which is a good marketing ploy. You know, that way if their iPhone 5 or newer phone at the time isn't selling that well, it doesn't matter because the free phone is selling well or the $100 phone is selling well. But so far this is the fastest phone that we can say we know for sure has sold that many in that short of a time. And because of that, it's obviously reaped some rewards. So first off, in the new Fortune magazine, in the annual Global 500 companies ranked by revenue, the largest IT firm in the world now behind all the oil companies is Samsung at the 14th place with 178 billion in revenue. Which is a good increase from 149 the year before. And don't worry, Apple, they are in 19th place, not too far behind, coming at 156 billion, and has climbed, well, yes, like I said, 19th place. And that's a big push from last year being 55th place. So Apple has grown immensely, but just not as quick as Samsung has in terms of revenue. So that's definitely important to note. And it just shows, you know, everyone has kind of said, you know, since Steve Jobs, Apple has lost a step. Another important one has been the profit recently announced for Q2. Two of the big mobile companies already came out and said theirs. Samsung got $8.33 billion in profit, which is very, very well. Really good in terms of their last quarter only doing 6.4, so you're talking almost about 3 billion improvement quarter over quarter. So not 3 billion, 2 billion. So that's a really good profit from Q1 to Q2. Very well off. And in comparison to that, so that was 8.33 billion in profit. Comparison to that, HTC just announced their earnings, and although they are improving, just not really that much. So again, Samsung had 8.22 billion, HTC has 41.6 million. So dramatically different, of course, but you have to realize that, you know, Samsung is a lot more than just phones. They do have a lot of products out, but also you really have you know, the selling difference. Samsung has now sold 20 million in 2 months. HTC has averaged around 1.2 per month, so they've been out about almost 3 months. So you figure that's about 3.6, yeah, 3.6 million total phone sales compared to 20 million. So it's a huge difference in amount. And although the aluminum is something that a lot of people do like, it's not as profitable. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for profit, Samsung has done well in terms of that. Now, to combat this, Apple's obviously not going to just take this laying around. So they've been called out as saying that they're going to release an army of new products in the fall. Now, obviously, Apple is going to release a lot of things in the fall. The definite ones will be, of course, the new iPhone, the 5S. We're going to get a new iPad mini. Now, the ones we're not sure of is 3 devices, which is the lower cost iPhone, which if they do, the company's pretty much done. And I'll go over that in a video later of their profit and just how they'll screw themselves over. And second would be, of course, the iWatch, if they do release a smartwatch of their own. And finally, a MacBook Pro that was missing in their WWDC, as where they did announce a new Mac Pro, as well as a new MacBook Air. They did not do anything with the MacBook Pro. So we'll see if which ones come out and which one really catches people's attention. Now, there's been a lot of photos recently of the low-priced iPhone in lots of different colors, lots of different things. One of them have been debunked though, as they really didn't have the spaces for the buttons in comparing to the iPhone 5. So when they showed them side by side, you actually saw that there wasn't the buttons where they normally would be. So that was important, and they didn't have that. So we'll see what it turns out as. Apple did not basically cover up the iPhone 5 at all last year, so maybe they're really not covering up the low-cost iPhone, or they can't really at this point anymore, but because it's definitely coming out very public. Garmin out $130 HUD display that is for your windshield. So basically it projects the display up and it shows on your windshield, so that way you can actually see the navigation on your windshield instead of actually on the device itself, which is a really cool thing. For $130 though, I'm not sure, and it does pair with the phone navigation app, which means that technically you can use Google Maps on it, I hope. They didn't really go into too much detail on that, but I'm really curious to see how that would turn out. And I don't know, I'll try to reach out to Garmin and see if we can get one of these for the channel, because that sounds pretty cool. Metro PCS is finally getting the Galaxy S4. Only in 8 areas starting off with, and then they'll roll out to everywhere else. But this will be for $549 for the S4, and I believe the S3 right now is like $399 for them. So I mean, comparing to getting to the S3 and the S4, you now have them both available at Metro with no contract. Another news on the S4, we finally see Knox added to the S4 on Sprint. Sprint is usually always the main carrier that gets updates before anyone else. As we've seen on Android, they just usually tend to get the updates quicker than anyone else, at least with Samsung. Samsung, they got the split screen first. They got a lot of the updates that we've seen on there. So, and now they did it again. So with the S4, they have got the Knox, which is the basically parallel split OS, so you can have regular Android and then Android for Business on there. That's really important because Knox is what got Samsung certified by Department of Defense, the only phone besides BlackBerry to do so. App installs can now be on the SD card, which I am curious to see how that's going to work, simply for the fact that they got rid of that the first time because it caused so many crashes. So will we start to see a lot of crashes on the S4 because of that? We'll have to wait and see. And then finally, the last news. This was, I thought, was really a comical thing that we saw this past week, and that is Samsung beats Apple now in most people now use smartphones for web access. So in the graph now, we actually see that Samsung has actually now overtaken Apple by a very small percentage, 25.5% compared to 25.1%. So by a very small percentage, actually they beat them, which is really, it's really interesting that they've now beaten them at something that they claimed only, what, a month ago, that they had so much more. They had 50% more than Android, and now they don't even have, now they're not even having that. So I think that was pretty interesting. Stay tuned for another video where we'll go over the new Nokia that was just announced as well, and go over that. All right, thank you for watching the Android Weekly News. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.